माइंडस्टॉर्म इज अ प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड गेमिंग कंपनी, ठीक है। और अपने आइडियाज या जो भी इंडस्ट्री इंस्पायर्ड आइडियाज वगैरह होते हैं, माइंडस्टॉर्म उन पे खुद से ओन अप करता है, ठीक है।
So, at Mindstorm Studios, we only use Unity engine. A AAA game would require anywhere from 100 million to 500 million dollars of budget.
Rather than scale, I would say it's the creativity, that's required.
So, there are two important skills I would say. One is the user experience, what we call UX as well, and the second is the problem solving approach. So,
सर्विसेज में यू हैव लाइक अ लॉट ऑफ क्लाइंट्स या इवन सिंगल व्हाटएवर द काउंट इज, और उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट्स होती हैं, उनके अपने कुछ कह लें कि प्रोडक्ट्स होती हैं जिसपे वो चाहते हैं कि आप उनको एग्जीक्यूट करके दें। एज अ प्रोडक्ट कंपनी आपके अपने इन हाउस बेसिकली प्रोजेक्ट्स वगैरह होते हैं, उनके गोल्स हैं, व्हाटएवर द टारगेट्स आर, ठीक है। माइंडस्टॉर्म इज अ प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड गेमिंग कंपनी, ठीक है। और अपने आइडियाज या जो भी इंडस्ट्री इंस्पायर्ड आइडियाज वगैरह होते हैं, माइंडस्टॉर्म उन पे खुद से ओन अप करता है, ठीक है, और उनको कह लो कि एग्जीक्यूट करता है व्हाटएवर द टाइम फ्रेम इट टेक्स। सो मेजर डिफरेंस बेसिकली प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड कंपनी में कहने के लिए।
for a gaming studio, for example, at Mindstorm Studios, we have Line Studios, that is our exclusive publishing partner. Line Studios is based in US, San Francisco, and they are a child company of App Loving, which is a very huge marketing and publishing company across the globe. So mostly for Pakistani products, especially in gaming domain, it's good to find a good publisher that can publish your game worldwide. Otherwise, if you are limited to the local market and you are self-publishing, then mostly you would only be able to cater for the local market, and you won't be able to grow your game. So it's important to find the right publisher in today's scenario, because the marketing expenses, they are off the roof, so you cannot survive without publishers. So it's important to find a publisher. So for example, for small products or indie developers, here at Mindstorm we also have an incubation program where the developers from different universities and indie developers can bring their games to Mindstorm Studios, and we have them publish their games, we have them grow their games, and we have them find market across the world as well.
So you guys at Mindstorm have cracked the US market, right?
Yes, so we have a dedicated marketing team at Mindstorm Studios that help different indie developers in incubation, publishing, marketing, all that stuff.
Does Mindstorm Studio have a particular design philosophy for game development?
Yes, so we do have, in terms of development, we have these dedicated design programming principles, so to say, that we strictly follow mostly in our development pipelines. And all the product development pipelines are very streamlined. So all those processes are built through experience in all different categories. So we do have a very strict pipeline in development and publishing the game. So at Mindstorm Studios, we only use Unity engine as the main framework for game development, and the language is C#. So Unity does not support any other programming language, so C# it is. And across Pakistan, Unity is the go-to engine as well. And even across worldwide, if you talk about mobile game development, then the Unity is the king. So there is no other gaming engine that comes close to when you are talking about mobile game developer. But in PC or console game development, that is AA or AAA games, then Unreal is primarily the king because they have a lot more tools and a lot more sophisticated processes for bigger scale projects.
Game development is probably, you can say, a lot of daily communication. See? So again, normally at the start of the day, you have like your scrum, okay, where you're highlighting what are your targets for today, okay, what were the challenges you faced, like let's say yesterday, okay, and then throughout the day, you are like jamming with your team members, discussing the problems that you're facing. So there aren't any fixed times when you can jam. The collaboration is happening all the time throughout the floor, right? And then you can like reach out to any member in other teams as well if you're facing any particular issue that your team is, for instance, not able to resolve. So it's a very open-minded collaboration throughout the studio between the teams, and the team itself, they are just uh, I would say discussing as needed. There aren't any fixed rules when you can discuss what. So you do have your sprints planned, that's as in a weekly sprint, that these are your goals for 1 week. You have to execute these many features, right? But if you're facing any challenges, the sprint at times does go beyond its limit. You have to put in extra time in as well. Sometimes nighters come into play too. But overall, it's quite open.
So the problem with AAA or AA titles is that they are very, what do you call it? They require a lot of money to make. For example, a AAA game would require anywhere from 100 million to 500 million dollars of budget, and this would include the development budget plus the publishing and the marketing budget as well. So, and in Pakistan, we don't have that kind of budget. Secondly, the skill set of the people, it does not really align well with the AAA or AA market as well. Thirdly, the reach of Pakistanis when it comes to AA or AAA games is very low. And finally, the monetization or the money making, what you call it, the money making opportunities in AAA or AA games is very low actually. So you need an upfront commitment of, let's say, $100 million to make a AAA game, and then after that you will have to wait for certain time, let's say 6 months to a year, to break even on that investment and then make some more on top of it. But in mobile gaming, you don't need that much money, so you can start off very low, and then once you make the game, that game can monetize on ads. So in AAA or in AA games, there is no possibility of any ads or any even microtransactions mostly. So microtransactions are becoming a norm in AA or AAA games, but they are not very common, and usually the high-end players hate those microtransactions as well. That's why mobile gaming is mostly reachable in Pakistan. So there are two important skills, I would say. One is the user experience, what we call the UX as well, and the second is the problem solving approach. So user experience, what you call it, when you are making a game, for example, then it's important that how the input feels, how the overall game experience, how the animations and all that stuff gels in together. So most of the junior people, they don't really understand the need of all those things. So and they usually get feedback from product managers or other non-technical people even a game designer to some extent are non-technical. They cannot give direct feedback on the kind of code that you need to write to, let's say, smooth out your animations or to fix your control bugs. So all of that stuff that needs to come from the developer itself, and that primarily is built on how many games you play, how you experience those games, how you analyze or postmortem those games at runtime. So most of the kids these days, they don't really they play a lot of games, but they don't really play game from a lens of a developer. Let's say if I were to make this game, what needs to get into all of those smaller modules? For example, what would I need for the input? How would I fix the input issues? What is a good input versus a bad input? Where are the lags and where are all the other errors coming in from? So all of these things. So as a student, if you want to come into the game development industry, you need to change your lens and you need to bring in curiosity whenever you are playing a game, that how that game is made, how all these different modules working together in that game are actually developed, and how would you develop them. You need to ask all these questions from your teachers, from YouTube, or from any other learning source, so that you actually know that what is required to make this complex game. As compared to software, games require a lot more user experience and usability than the applications. Applications are usually button clicks and they are not very real time. So today, game development is more real time when it comes to user experience. And problem solving approach is also very key when it comes to students, because mostly the problem with our universities or academics is that they are taught problem solving in a very controlled environment where their problems or their solutions are not really tested at a bigger scale. I'm not talking about the complexity in terms of, let's say, data of 100 entries versus a data of a billion entries. I'm talking about, let's say, you have to change the requirements at runtime. Let's say the solution or the UX, for example, does not align very well when you actually play or experience the game. Then you need to reiterate over all that stuff. So if whatever you wrote was not flexible or adaptable to the new requirements, then you will most probably have to reload all of that stuff. So you need to write more adaptable and flexible and scalable code, especially in game development than in any other field.
I think rather than scale, I would say it's the creativity, that's required, because like Umair just mentioned, game development is very dynamic compared to other software development. You have your requirements, and then you're just executing them one by one. In game development, you have to be very dynamic. You have different stories coming out, right? So the implementation is quite versatile, right? And for that, you have to have a creative mind and problem solving skills, so you can actually make sure that all of those scenarios are catered. So it's creativity, it's curiosity as to how things are done in other applications as well. So that sort of keeps a good balance in being a game developer or even a game artist, for instance, right?